Hello everyone, it's been a while since we've done a vlog episode. Sorry about that, but the sky is finally sunny. We're doing some gardening. There's been a lot of updates. This corn is taller than me now, but today we're gonna do a lot of planting in some beds that we have recently cleared out. The garlic is cleared out except for this one right here. The wheat's cleared out, I'll show you that in a second. But Jacques is here, the hermit himself. Let's get to it. So here's the wheat harvest. These are sheaths, I believe, sheaths of wheat. Not a bad harvest. I think I might get enough to make like one loaf of bread, which sounds a little pathetic, but hey, it is what it is. So we're letting these dry for about 2 or 3 weeks or so, at which point we'll have to thresh the wheat, which will be its own process. So stay tuned on that. I'm going to show you the garlic now. There are a few new additions in here, one of which is this freeze dryer from Harvest Right, which I'll show you guys in a completely separate video. But here we have the potatoes. So here's the leftovers of the harvest. Still making my way through this massive crop of potatoes. Great way to store them though. And then, look at that. We've got the garlic. Letting this cure in here. A couple different varieties. Killarney and Chellium Red, German White. I'm kind of over braiding garlic, mostly because I don't know how to do it. I just tried a million times, couldn't figure it out. But these are curing in here. They're looking really, really pretty. And if you're curious what this is the produce rack from Gardener Supply Company. It's the 9-tier one. Kind of nice. Little old school vibe here in the kitchen now. But let's head out and actually get to planting. The first task of the day is to water the tomato and pepper bed, which needs a deep water at least once a week, maybe twice, especially as the sun is finally coming out here. We had some crazy June gloom. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, but first let's admire some of these tomatoes. The one I want to show you is Beauty King, living up to its name. Huge, huge globular fruits on this, really nice hang, and they are so tasty. I mean, this one's basically ripe right here, and it's nice and firm, not overly juicy, but a gorgeous, gorgeous tomato. These guys are ripening up. We haven't had too many of those yet, but over here, we're gonna be swapping these ones out. They got hit by so much blight. It was really crazy. Still harvestable. This is a long tom right here. And then I actually forgot the name of this one, but the Florida weave section right here just got hit with blight so bad. But then as you go over here, what you can see is some serious lower and lean power on these guys. So we've been pulling tomatoes off of these for a couple days now, but let's get these all watered up. Did a little more than watering, scratched in some horticultural charcoal and some biotone and garden tone just to fertilize throughout the season. And then we realized there's no good reason why we haven't mulched this section yet, so we're gonna mulch it up right now. And there we have it. That's gonna really help as the summer temperatures come in. And the best part is we only used effectively 1 bag of the big garden straw, which is now available on the store. It's hot enough out here to rock the straw hat, and we are finally gonna be planting some trees. So I have a couple stone fruit. I think one's a nectarine, we have 2 peaches, and then we have an apple. And basically we didn't plant these because I thought I would have a more robust landscape plan by now, so I'd know where the pathways were and all of that. But at this point, it's either let these trees die, which I don't want to do because they were each at least $100, or plant them and just make a plan afterwards, which is exactly what we're going to do. So I'll show you where we're putting them. So the idea here is we have our citrus hedge that you guys remember. We got the 4 and the 4 and then a couple more down there. I do have 2 pomegranates in here. There's a Parfionca and a Wonderful. And then remember from the Greywater project, this basin right here and that basin right there, there's going to be abnormally more water in this area than there would be, like, let's say right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run straight down the line here and we'll put the stone fruit in like this. And what's nice about that is it's still going to be an evergreen hedge because this side is all citrus, which is evergreen. So when this fills in, you know, about from here over, you won't be able to see anything. And then when the leaves fall off of these, you'll see straight through them into the citrus. Something we noticed is that there were some aphids on these apples. So take a look at that. It's kind of hard to notice, but they're there. We spotted them. So what Jacques' gonna do is what is always recommended, just blast them off. Just blast them off before we plant in. It's probably just that the aphids found an opportunistic plant that was struggling a little bit and they wanted to munch. Another thing we're gonna wanna do is take some of that mulch and fill in this mulch basin, because if you take a look, you can tell it's a little bit sunken down. So if we fill this up, we get more capillary action as the water flows in from the shower. So it's gonna come up more, spread out more, and water both of these sides. So the hole's done. All we're gonna do is just kind of rough the sides up so the roots don't encounter a false wall, so to speak. So a little hand mattock is fine for that. And we're not going too crazy on the hole. We're just trying to fit it to the actual plant, which is right about here. So why don't you help me here, Jacques?
Get this out. A test fit quick?
Yeah, let's do a test fit.
Just make sure we know what we're doing.
I think that's fine because mounting a little high is probably fine.
All right, cool.
So, okay, cool.
You want me to support?
Yeah, let's give it a little quick pop on the sides.
I think it's gonna come.
I think it'll come out easy, yeah. Actually, we can probably just, there we go.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's root bound.
So that's root bound.
That's pretty root bound, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some, let's look at the bottom though. I mean, the bottom's not that bad actually.
That's true.
So let's tease the bottom open a bit and kind of open the whole thing.
Yeah, they're not that bad.
It's worse because they are so white.
Yeah.
It looks worse, I think.
They're popping apart pretty easily.
Yeah, okay, cool. So this is the, like, look at this. This is kind of what we want to avoid. This huge taproot being curled like that. I think
where it's going.
I think we want to avoid that.
Yeah.
Okay, in we go. That's slightly high. I don't think it's
a little deeper.
Well, I don't think so because look, we'll come in, we'll fill it up, we'll mound it what, an inch?
Yep.
And then we'll mulch it like 4 inches. Cool. So I think it's fine actually.
So should we just get the graft where we want?
Yeah, we want the graft on the north side, and the graft is here right now. But the other thing to consider is the growth of the plant.
Right.
So I actually think we want to break this rule in favor of this rule.
Okay.
Because the growth is so strong on this side, and we want to even it out by giving it more sun exposure there.
We'll just paint it.
Yeah, I think so. So plus we have this blocking too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just fill in.
Right there?
Yeah, stuff it all in there. What's nice is you'll always have enough soil to fill it in. You know? Wow, it is so muddy,
That's
dude.
crazy.
Look at it. It's like
barely
clay test.
Tap on. Yeah.
Not exactly what you want to be seeing, but you know, we'll work with it over time.
That's one tree down. One tree down.
Trees are in, and I think they look fantastic. It's going to be so nice to have these grown in. But what you'll notice is the little white marks on the bottom of these. That's a whitewash paint. I'll show it to you right here. I'm going to go with a green this time. I want to coat all the way up, so it's going to protect against sunburn, especially for these young trees with a bare stem like this. But you want to go all the way up to the first branch. So I have to paint all these trees with this gray whitewash. All right, they're in, they're painted up. Honestly, it looks pretty nice. And you just have to see the future when you're working with an orchard. So in a couple years, it's gonna look really good. So we are gonna change this bed out because the sunflower heads are all spent, but I'm gonna save the heads because I think I can use most of these seeds. The birds have actually gotten to some of them. I'm working on a full sunflower guide for the main channel, but I'm gonna regrow them from seed. So for now, these just have to get chopped up and decapitated. In this bed, we're going to go in with a small organic raised bed mix. One interesting thing is if you have a plant that's still working, just leave it there and plant everything else out. We have a lot of the horticultural charcoal. Try to lighten the soil up, just a test we're doing. And then plant tone, gypsum, and kelp meal has become one of my personal favorite amendments. I use it all the time. It's a 102, but got a lot of trace minerals in it. So amend away. So both of these beds have been amended and varying levels of success were had. The sunflower bed was actually amazing. This bed, you may remember from the vlog, we planted beans, soybeans, and I think champion beans. Either way, yeah. they did not do that well. These ones did okay. The soybeans failed twice. So we said, let's just re-amend it. We'll give up on those for now. Clearly they don't like being in this space or in this bed. And I'm gonna do flowers in this bed now. So what I have here are some suns. So we got Velvet Queen, Skyscraper, which I'll probably put on the corner there. We'll do Velvet Queen here. Well, we've got a couple skyscrapers. Maybe we'll just go every other here. So I'm gonna arrange it high to low, stadium seating style, I guess, because we've got the south-facing sun coming in right there. And then what do you got going on?
So here I'm gonna do 3 different pumpkins. We're gonna do I'm probably gonna pronounce them all wrong, the Jardale pumpkin, the Gallo di Cine, which is a peanut pumpkin, and then a strawberry crown pumpkin. So it might sound like a lot, but the idea is that it's all gonna cascade down and kind of come into the grow bag area and maybe provide a little bit of shade.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, that is quite dense for a raised bed for pumpkins. I mean, typically you plant pumpkins maybe like on a mound 4 feet apart, but we don't think it's a huge deal because there's a huge amount of soil in here. We can add extra fertilizer if we need to, and like Jacques said, it'll just spill, which gives it more effective growing space than maybe it normally would have if it was planted in the ground. So you know what, we'll see. Trying to cram as much as we can in as per usual, but should work, should work.
Yeah, I mean we have 30 inches of soil, so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not quite, because
right.
we got some logs down there, but it's still a decent amount of soil and we heavily amended it. So now in my bed, I've got nasturtiums, cosmos, and zinnia. I'm gonna throw a nasturtium on a corner up here. It's a great corner planting because it'll bush over. So we can just pop one of these out. Honestly, I don't like nasturtiums from a flavor perspective. I really actually hate the taste, but from a planting perspective, they're such a great one to just slot in on these little alcoves of your garden. They do so well. They don't really need much at all. So just pop one in and you're in a good spot. So another thing we are doing, as you notice, is we did not start these ones from seed, at least the ones in my bed. Why? Because we didn't have enough time, pretty much. I mean, there's no other way to say it. We just didn't have the time or we forgot. There's nothing wrong with that. Great idea to supplement if you just didn't do it, because otherwise you've got nothing in your garden, so what's worse, really? So there's some sort of purity type of approach where, oh, if you didn't start it from seed, you're not legit. Who cares? Just start, do what you want in your garden. It's supposed to be there for you. You're supposed to enjoy it. And so if you enjoy it by buying some seeds, there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing like a mounded approach over there?
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but it just feels right.
Hey, if it feels right, sometimes it is right. That's not always true, but I feel like in this case, I believe in you.
Just feels like the right mood, the theme.
Yeah. I mean, typically you would plant a pumpkin in a hill like that.
Yeah.
So why not try to mimic it and see what happens, I guess?
Yeah, it helps drainage. Not really a problem here, and a little warmer, which could be nice.
Could be nice. So I'm not being super specific on my spacing here. I'm just kind of, I guess I'm in Jacques' mood. I'm putting it in where the mood pulls me. It's not a perfect grid for once in my life. All right, well, more beds to plant. By the way, this apricot is actually producing fruit, and it is absolutely delicious. Look at that. Juice level, 10 out of 10. Now that the front yard is done, we have to turn our attention to the back. Like I said, that garlic is still hanging on, but I think we're gonna do some bush beans right there. And then the melons that you guys saw us plant, I believe in the last vlog, they did not do so well. So I'm gonna show you really quickly what we're looking at. So it's not all of them that didn't do well. These ones will come along and they're actually quite a bit bigger, but we lost that one right there. And we're getting a little bit of skimpy growth on this here. So we're gonna put an insurance policy out and just direct sow right next to them just in case. So I'm going to transplant some beans in this bed. Jacques on the other side is going to do some direct sowing. You've got Rock d'Or bush bean and Royal Burgundy bush bean. So both of those are from San Diego Seed Company, a purple and a sort of a waxy yellow. And then here we have all sorts of different types. This one here is Purple Queen. We've got Dragon's Tongue, and we've got Contender. So some really good bush beans. Something I learned when I was at Charles Dowding's house in England is that you can transplant beans pretty deep. So he said it's no big deal if they stretch like this, transplant them to here. So that's what I'm going to do. It seemed to work for him. Charles Dowding is one of my personal mentors. So I'm gonna do that. And maybe Jacques, you can say a little bit about direct sowing beans.
Yeah, so, you know, I sometimes will follow the packet. In this case, the Royal Burgundy actually recommends a slightly larger spacing of 7 inches instead of 5 on this one. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna just push them about 1 inch deep. Sometimes what I do is I'll just lay them on their side instead of actually trying to angle it. It's a little easier to guarantee that they're gonna have an easy time coming up. So that's what I'm gonna go for.
Got it. And I'm just gonna see how many I can get in this little slot here. Should have enough to get at least most of the way back on this little strip. It's kind of interesting because the garlic, what is that one? That's Romanian red?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only piece of garlic, the only variety that we have that still is in the ground because it just seems like it needs a little more hang time. The necks aren't floppy yet. They're not quite dying back as much as the other varieties. So I'm hoping I get a little more clove separation on that one. Some of the hardnecks I grew, still fantastic, still great eating, but they didn't get as much clove separation as I might have wanted. It's been a long day, the beans are in. Jacques and I today were at the warehouse this morning, unloading a new batch of garden straw, which has an extra cubic foot in it, so go check that out, it's a bigger bag. But we're gonna cap the day off, just taking a little tease, a little quick peek at one of these garlic. This one here looks decent to give it a shot. You gotta be careful, they're so deep down in there. Ooh. Ooh, that's pretty good. Look at that. Look at that's decent clove separation on that. I still think we can leave these a little bit longer, but this is a nice Romanian red. So I know it's been a while since we've been doing vlogs here on the channel, guys. Sorry about that. Things have been absolutely insane, but I promise a lot more and maybe some really cool, exciting stuff is coming soon that you'll hear about. So until next time, good luck in the garden and keep on growing.